Hello! Welcome to Duncan Egg Bricks and to an early August 2022 LEGO set review. Today we've got a LEGO Star Wars set, number 75333, Obi-Wan Kenobi's Jedi Starfighter. Now, as of the time of recording, this set has not officially been released, but I did manage to pick it up early at a local toy shop I've been to before, and I know has a tendency to put things out early, so thank you very much to them. LEGO, if you do want to hit me up and send me those free sets early, then I'd be very happy, but this is one that I bought myself. So yeah, this is a brand new set of a ship that we've had a couple of times before, but actually not in a little while. The last time they did it, it came with the large hyperdrive ring and was a bit more of an expensive set, so it's nice to get this. I bought this for its suggested retail price of £24.99, that's in pounds. Prices are slightly different around the world, just showing off the features there and what we get. So in the review, I'm going to be looking at the ship we get, at the minifigs that we get, some nice new ones, particularly Tournui here, and I'm also going to be doing a bit of a comparison because we've got this set, which is released in 2022, and I also have this set, which is the original version of this ship, which was released 20 years ago, and I actually got this set when it came out, which does make me feel a little bit old there, and I recently put it back together. Couldn't quite find all the correct pieces, but yeah, we will compare this to the more recent set. That's a feature which I think the new one has retained. And also, I'm going to use some instructions that I have already seen online on Rubricable to convert this, or rather modify this ship a little bit to be slightly more accurate. But I'm going to build the normal setup first and then show you what it looks like. So let's crack this set open. I'm going to desecrate the box by using the punch tabs, but I'm not a box collector, so don't sue me, anybody out there. Right, so if I can get this open, we get inside 1, 2, 3 bags. Yep, 3. A fairly large sticker sheet, and the instructions with... See, not only am I not a fan, I've decided, of this style of box art, of instruction art rather, but what an odd angle to choose. It's just so bizarre. Especially, I'll just drop the box on the floor, but especially when you look at the box, that kind of dynamic angle with the ship swooping, you get to see the whole length of it. And then this is just kind of meh. I don't really get it, but that's the instruction manual anyway. Ooh, don't think, no, here we are. There's a few other sets there shown at the back. The shop I went into had all of these sets available apart from the Andor set. Didn't see that one, but everything else was available. I had to resist the temptation to go ahead and buy quite a lot of these. The Justifier box, by the way, is enormous, even though it's actually the same number of pieces as the ATTE. It's a much smaller box. But anyway, right, let's get on, build this setup, and then I'll let you know what I think. And here is that finished set. First impressions are really, really good. I'll just give the set a quick spin. And yeah, it's a very clean looking design. It's been refined over a few different variations, both of this ship and a few others, particularly from the Clone Wars. But before we take a closer look at the ship, let's look at the minifigs included. This video is going to include a comparison, so I thought I might as well show both Obi-Wans off at once. Obviously on the left here we have got the one from the new set, and here is the one from 2002. So this is what 20 years worth of minifig development will get you. On the right, they are still using the old yellow skin tone, which was used for episode 1 and 2, and then by the time episode 3 came around, they transitioned over to the flesh tones. I've got a lot of nostalgia for this old design. It looks really, really good. Notice how they're still going for that headset printed on both figures. This Obi-Wan doesn't include an alternate face, whereas the other one does without the headset. Comes with the still the same lightsaber mold, although this one was originally in chrome. You can see a lot of that chrome paint has worn off over the years, which is one of the reasons they switched to the newer colour. I would almost say the lightsaber blades were actually better back in the day. That's clearer, that's a lot cloudier. I suppose you can kind of take it or leave it depending on what your preference is. My Obi-Wan figure from the first set has definitely been a bit beaten up. His torso's cracked, his hands are a bit loose, he's got some probably bite marks on his arm. it's a, a very dated figure here. Didn't even come with printing round the back because they just didn't in those days. Although to be fair, this one only comes with a tiny bit. Just show you his alternate expression. It looks a bit kind of, I don't know really, nonplussed there. Presumably he's just been told that there's a clone army and it's a bit like, oh, okay then. This figure's obviously way more accurate. Also more accurate for the fact that it includes Obi-Wan in his brown outer robes, which he does wear in the scene. We've got the printed tan robes underneath, which do look kind of similar. We're still not getting the proper tan colour coming through. You can see this figure, even though it's, it's quite old now, that is the Lego tan colour, and it's not the same as the printed colour. However, because this is all printed and it's therefore a bit more consistent, I don't mind it as much. So there we go, that's 20 years worth of Obi-Wans. This really was the only figure that was included in that original set. We didn't even get a full R4, we only got the head, which I couldn't actually find. I will just briefly describe it when we look at the new R4 and possibly the most exciting new figure in the set. And speaking of that figure, here she is. This is Torn Wee on the left. It's only taken 20 years to get our first Kaminoan minifigure, and here she is. There were rumours that she was going to be using a mini doll body and skirt piece, which would have been pretty accurate for the very slender way that the Kaminoans are depicted, but I think it was sensible to stick to the minifig form. You do have the cutouts on the waist that are kind of suggesting the skinniness of the figure. Uses the dress piece, which has been printed, and nice printing around the back. But those are existing pieces. The new piece is this head and neck mould, which I'll just remove so you can see what it's like. It's all just one piece. I think it's printed rather than actually being dual moulded, but it's wonderfully printed. The eye detailing is great, the nose and mouth. She's actually got that headband that goes all the way around the top. I can imagine this being reused quite effectively for other Kaminoan minifigures. No idea when those will pop up though, maybe in a future set where we actually get part of Kamino, which I don't think we've ever got. And then on the right, we have got R4, which is Obi-Wan's loyal droid, R4P17. I actually think in the film, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, I think that this is meant to be an astromech that's actually integrated into the starship, which would go some way to explaining why only the head was included in the original set. That head, incidentally, was a white dome piece with some normal red printing, whereas this is a dark red piece with some sort of gunmetal dark silver printing. So this is way more accurate. However, yeah, I think it was just meant to be a head that was part of the ship and didn't actually have a full body. They've started to include this, I think it was included on the previous version of this ship. So it's a nice touch to get the body, but we don't ever actually see R4 out of the ship. So I'm not 100% sure that he does actually have a body. Doesn't really matter though, it's nice to get another astromech. The only downside is no back printing. So the R2-D2 back printing in a couple of sets that came out this year remains unique to that. So yeah, that's a bit unfortunate, but as others have suggested, possibly the set was designed and finalised before that decision was made, so we may yet see back printing on other astromechs in the future. Just one last thing that I've just reminded myself of, going back to Obi-Wan, we had his hair piece here. It does also include one of the new hood pieces, so you can flip his head round, put that up, and he can walk through the rain into the buildings of Kamino. This hood looks really good in brown and is very appropriate for this situation. Right, enough about the figs, let's go back to the ship. Like I said before, my first impressions of the ship are really, really good, and I do have a few small problems with it, but overall I'm really happy. It's a massive improvement, as you would expect on the design from 20 years ago. It's much more solid and stable, takes advantage of a whole load of new parts that weren't available at the time, and pretty much gets everything right, or everything better. The one major downside, I will say, and it's not even that big a deal, are these gaps between the main fuselage and the wings. It's just the nature of the way that they're held on with these Technic parts here. It just creates those gaps. They're not hinged or anything, so there's no way of actually closing up those gaps with the parts provided, or at least not one that I have found so far. The older set, which I showed briefly at the beginning, the wings are on a much shallower angle, which I would say is more accurate if we hold them up, going from the end, from the nose rather. and they don't really have any gaps. There's a very tiny gap down the middle there. That's just due to the nature of the hinges that they are made with. They actually originally used the much older and long discontinued finger style hinges. Couldn't actually find those parts in my collection, so I used click hinges, but the effect is the same, apart from the fact that they keep snapping up again. Yeah, fewer gaps. So that's one area where this set does actually do better. But apart from that, this ship is just such an improvement overall. It does use a lot of stickers. I showed the full sticker sheet. This is the spent one, so you can see quite large stickers. 3 of them go on 2x6 tiles, one at the front and then one on either side. Whereas in this set, I believe they are all printed. So these large wedges and these slopes were all printed, which is it's kind of funny actually to see almost exactly the same designs shown across 2 different, very different ships 20 years apart. But anyway, back to this one, because that's what we're actually talking about. Structure underneath is pretty good. Yeah, there's lots of nice building techniques. There's the engines at the back, which look really nice. They're connected with Technic pins, and they have the nice yellow glow on the back, which is very accurate. I love the shaping around the back here, making use of these newer wedges, which are originally from Speed Champion sets, but on their sides with stickers. The shaping as it comes down like that really complements the curve. Incidentally, this is not a 3x3 plate with the curve, the normal version. This is the one with the cutout, so it actually just follows that single studded width along the edge there, which looks great. These 2 pieces get put back to back. The old one actually used a large flag piece that you'd more often see on a pirate ship. I don't know what's more accurate really, but this is definitely a more solid construction. The space for Obi-Wan to fit inside is really good. The canopy did come not brilliant condition. It's kind of scratched, and yeah, the new Lego plastic, not great. It would have looked better possibly in trans black because you wouldn't have actually noticed the scratches. But anyway, the actual space inside is good. You've got room to put Obi-Wan inside there. Then these large tiles on the side give room for his arms on either side. He's got a headrest and the back to his seat there. That all closes up. He's got a printed control panel in front of him there. No control levers or anything like that, but I think that's fine. Coming down the centre of the ship, we have actually got a removable panel here. This is taking a similar technique from previous sets like this. And what this is actually for is to put R4's body inside. So that just goes inside there, secured with a single stud on a jumper there, and that goes over the top. And to be honest, you would probably never notice that it was actually there. And then the head goes on this turntable, which is a nice little addition. Turns left and right there, spins around. Like I said, I think it is meant to be just a head of the astromech, but you know, it's nice to have the variety. I've also got a nice little detail here, which is the satellite dish that Obi-Wan tries to use to communicate with the Jedi Council. And it's just a nice little addition, 3 pieces. Held onto a jumper, just pops off. There is a jumper on either side, so I suppose you could put it over here if you wanted to. It's not shown like that in the film. You can obviously pop it off for flight, although I've just kept mine attached and folded it down. I think it looks pretty unobtrusive. There's some slightly annoying stickers, 1, 2, 3, 4. The older set did just use white tiles and plates. I've not actually looked back at pictures and seen, I'm assuming that this is more accurate, but I don't know if it was strictly necessary. Also point out that the Republic logo here is a sticker, whereas here it was a 2x2 round tile with a print. The shaping of the wings is way more accurate overall. It uses these 3x6 wedge plates, whereas this used a combination of a couple of different wedge plates. Got some really large ones at the back here, and then these interestingly shaped ones with the little cutout, which I think are originally from Classic Space. I don't think they get used anymore, and these ones are certainly a lot more accurate. You've got I think actually a much nicer dark red colour, which seems a little bit deeper. This one's quite shiny, though that may just be due to the age of the actual pieces. Don't forget this is 20 years old. I should point out, for anybody wondering, yes, I couldn't find quite all the pieces. That is meant to be lime green, yeah, these are meant to be, I think, just completely blank white. Points if you can work out what set or what theme these stickers actually came from that I replaced them with. Yeah, so there's not much else to say. Obviously, we've got some stud or tile shooters at the front here. These can just hold a single stud. You get some of these in bright green here, and they will just fire off and I'll lose it forever. Oh no, I saw where it went, just went on the floor. They're very good though, they fire. They are in the place where guns are meant to be on the ship. They're possibly a little bit bulky, but you can very easily just snap them off if you want to, and I think the ship does look a bit more sleek like that. However, I think I'm going to leave them on, or possibly just replace them with something slightly less obtrusive, maybe even the design that this ship had, where they're just Technic hinge parts, which don't stick up quite as much. Of course, it didn't shoot on that one. So yeah, that is that's pretty much the ship. A couple more things on the underside actually. Got a forward landing gear which folds all the way down like that, and you can just stand the ship like that. Unfortunately, and I think this has been a problem with more recent versions of similar ships, it's only got one point of contact at the front and one at the back, so if you push onto the side, it does just tilt over. It doesn't have very far to go, to be fair, and it will go back to the middle just fine, you know, you just balance it, but it is fairly easy to flop over. There's a slight advantage that this one had, although because of the age of the parts, they're probably not going to do as good a job, as this had two legs on the back, which actually had the engines attached to them, which was interesting, and then a single leg at the front. So this actually sat like this, and you know, that's not going anywhere, although if you did press too hard, it just folds down to the ground, whereas at least because this is at a right angle, you can press and that's not going anywhere. So yeah, it's a really, really good ship. I really like it. And yeah, as soon as I saw that this was coming out and that it was only £25, which, you know, if you'd asked me that a few years ago, I wouldn't have been too happy, but that is the kind of price we can expect for ships like this nowadays. So I just took all of Obi-Wan's hair off. Let's just pop him down in his seat. Hands just have to go up a bit. That closes over nicely. And I think he looks really good there. You can just about see it over the front. So yeah, that is the ship as it comes out of the box. Now, I did say in the introduction I would be comparing these two ships, so there we are. That's how they worked. Incidentally, there was no hinge for this canopy. You just pulled it off. But what I'm also going to be doing is using some instructions I found on Rebrickable to remake this set very slightly, just to make it a little bit more accurate. The main thing that people have said is that this ship, the original one, is a lot flatter and narrower, shorter and closer to the ground, which is more accurate than this one, which comes up quite a bit here, partly to make space for the astromech body inside, but also because of the way the minifigure is enclosed. But there are some instructions to use only pieces from this set to reconfigure the middle into something which is possibly a bit more streamlined. So I'm going to try that now. If that's all you wanted to see, just a review and comparison, then thank you very much for watching. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, all the good things. But yeah, if you are interested in the instructions, then I'm going to post a link to them down below. They are available for free on Rebrickable. I've not been asked to shill for them or anything like that. They're available to all, but I'm interested in taking a look at them. So I'm going to go ahead and rebuild this set using them now. And here we have the finished modified set. From first glance, it might not look like much has changed here, but in actual fact, the entire main fuselage has been completely rebuilt. It uses a lot of the same techniques, and obviously you've got things like these stickered parts in the same place, but we've actually removed all of these pieces from inside. So there's lots of pieces, including the main bits that were supporting the underneath of the fuselage, so it actually comes all the way down to the ground here. Still retains the front leg just there, which can be folded up for flight, but it now rests almost on the engines at the back. The main change is that the entire section with the cockpit has been lowered substantially, I think by sort of 2 or 3 plates, and various parts have been redistributed around the ship. There's also been a few details changed on the wings. The instructions are really, really good. They're very easy to follow once you've worked out what you need to do. You're either given the option of building all the way from scratch if you just open all 3 bags that this set comes with, or you can also go ahead and modify your existing set. Just wanted to point out one detail. Yeah, I just thought that was quite funny. I've actually been rewatching the prequels recently, so that gave me a little bit of a chuckle. But anyway, yeah, this is the set that we end up with. Obviously, if this set had been designed like this from the beginning, some parts would be different, but it still retains the same abilities. And in fact, there is still the ability to hold R4's body inside there. It does now actually attach with more studs, so it's a little bit trickier to get out, but it's not too bad. You can see there's actually studs on either side there, as well as the one in the middle, and that is needed because it holds the main brackets which form part of the structure together, but that can still fit in there. The Republic logo and R4's head have been brought in a stud, which may be more accurate. I'm again not 100% sure. Obi-Wan still fits inside there, but he is on 4 studs rather than the 2 he was on before, so it might make him a little bit harder to take out. In terms of whether I prefer it, I really don't know. I am going to do one thing, which I think I did see someone do online, someone else who'd had a look at this, which is actually repurpose these black slopes, which don't get used in the instructions. Yeah, just to function as a little landing gear. I think that's actually... Yeah, that makes for a better landing gear. You can't really tell from here because of the angle of the camera, but it's now actually resting on these 2 black slopes and the foot at the front, which is now at an angle. So yeah, it's actually much more similar in profile to the older set. One thing I will say it's a shame that it loses is at the back, this little cheese slope there was actually this part, and then that on the end, which, actually... will all fit together again now. Obviously, this is quite weak because it's only attached by 1 stud, but now it's been raised off the ground a little bit. Yeah, that works, so maybe you can do that as well. But anyway, that's the change. If you want to find these instructions, they're available on rebrickable.com. Just search for 75333, and it's pretty much the only thing that comes up, and just follow that through. There are a couple of bits, like it includes the old stud shooters, presumably because they weren't available in Bricklink Studio when the instructions were created, but other than that, it's very easy to follow, and yeah, I wholeheartedly recommend trying it out. I think I may go ahead and change this back. I don't know, I'll have to sit on it for a while, but I do think it's quite impressive that it manages to get all of these pieces out, not including the body, out of the main build, and still comes up with a very finished looking set, which is very sleek and very nice. So anyway, that was finally the end of my review of set 75333. I would wholeheartedly recommend this set. I think it's great. I think the fact that somebody's created instructions that can use just the pieces from the set to make another version, which maybe actually looks even better, is fantastic. And if you want to go and pick this set up, then I would very much say go ahead and do so. And if you want to use my Lego affiliate link, then please click down in the description below. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. I'm going to have one more of these reviews coming out pretty soon, just a couple of sets that I managed to pick up early, as well as another set that I acquired recently. So more reviews coming out, and yeah, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and yeah, I will see you again very soon. Bye.